Hello, everybody. Let me just share this video so that there's another layer of me kind of not being able to kind of get out of this, I guess. Give me a sec. Hashtag 7. Growth engine rapidly launch and iterate. It's done. So, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode. And for those of you for whom this is the first time you're listening to me, this is a series of episodes I'm doing during the remainder of my time here in India. It's the 1st of October, and I'll be leaving on the 11th. And the whole idea of this is just me kind of trying out this new format, this audio slash podcast format, and acting out this new ethos of just putting myself and just putting things out there. Speaking of which, this kind of like segue into the beginning of the episode, I guess, the topic of this episode, and it's a perfect segue because I am launching this new project I've been working on. It's called Growth Engine. The website is ge.studio, and it's basically a tech studio focusing on just helping early stage founders just launch and iterate at lightning speed. So, for those of you who have listened to the first episode I've done in the series, you guys know that it basically for like the past few years, I've been kind of messing around. I've been just doing things here and there just to kind of pay the bills and like look like or like pretend like I'm kind of doing shit, where in reality, I really wasn't kind of acting to match my words, I guess, like, like kind of uh, living the kind of life I told everyone, including myself, that I want to live and I'm living. And part of this, I touched on it like on the first episode. So to kind of really understand this, I suggest you watch the first episode of the series, which is technically the second episode, like in the podcast. Um, but the TLDR version of it is the past few years I've been just working on like freelancing, and I would just do the least amount of work to get clients, and I'd find the clients that required the least amount of work, let's just say, and I just do just enough to get it done and over with. And even at that time, when I was doing all this stuff, I kind of saw this as a like a means to an end. I had other ideas I was working on. Even the LLC, this whole thing was registered under. It was just a startup. The whole idea was these side gigs would fund my main stuff. Whereas now I realize that kind of way of doing things is extremely unsustainable, and as I went more deeply on the first episode, it's just basically a form of self deception and a very, very silly way of kind of living life, let's just say. So, growth engine is basically what I came up with when I sat here in my balcony, and I just kind of asked myself this question, uh, like, I'm gonna do this very seriously. If I was gonna do like take everything very seriously and let's just 100% commit, what can I do where I can provide the most value in, and at the same time like it would just get me going. Like I can just wake up and just be excited to work on this kind of stuff. And the best, like most strong, uh, unbreakable I like answer I came to that question was that basically build a tech studio or like a tech agency that focuses on early stage startups or early stage founders, and it helps these founders and like these projects to just like go from an idea to launch and like iterate at lightning speed, rapidly iterate, just launch, get feedback, like change ideas, like change models and everything. And why, you might ask, why it would this be an area where I can provide the most value in? Because it all started with a startup for me. The first actual proper professional thing, like I ventured into as a teenager, was a startup. That's how it all started. And it's the area, it's the kind of thing I am, let's just say I'm built for. I like that. I like the unstructured nature of it. I like that fact that, we have to go 1,000 miles an hour. And I am defining the structure, let's just say. I really like that in a lot of ways. And that was the first thing I've done. And ever since then, even after that, kind of that chapter closed, everything else I've done since then, even unconsciously, has been working on like personal ideas and also like working with clients before product market fit, where building prototypes, building MVPs, and just working, building my own startup environment, or like building my own kind of way to operate in this environment while technically not operating in this environment, let's just say. And that's what I'm good at. Like that's the another way to put this would be, the past 5 clients I've had have all been pre-product market fit. That is to say, not an established business, don't have a lot of employees, still trying to find a strong target like market, where like basically the idea is once you reach product market fit, then you just focused on like growing. You don't have to do a lot in terms of uh, discovery work. Like even you don't even have to do a lot in terms of feature work. Now, like almost all your capital and resources can be just targets on like acquiring those people, because you basically figured out exactly the kind of people that want to use your product, and that's the whole idea of a product market fit. And all the projects I've worked with was before that, and it's always been working towards this goal. And once you kind of work with enough of these projects, you develop these patterns, you develop these systems and like structures and ways of doing these things. And this is how I think I can get to rapid iteration. This is how I can get to lightning speeds and all these things I'm talking about, right? uh, I do think I'm pretty skilled and pretty gifted, but that in itself doesn't make up for it. Really, it's the efficiency that you develop after working on enough of these projects. And to give you like a real life example of this, let's just say you came to me and you said you wanted to develop a type of like a software as a service, um, like, and you also went to someone else where they've never done this. They're just a big tech shop that's been around for like 20 years with like 10,000 people, let's just say. The difference is literally the past 3 clients I worked for all had an admin console, and for all 3 of them, and um, out of the 3, 2 I was meant to be just a backend developer. I was just meant to focus on the behind the scenes, like wiring stuff. Despite that, for all three of them, I developed the admin console. And the admin console is just basically like a unglorified SaaS, like basically a very ugly version of these wirings. And now imagine this, right? Three projects like in a row, developing pretty much the same kind of thing, where it's a console where these projects just manage their behind the scenes things. I'm specifically talking about things like reporting. So if you're developing an app, most apps require Apple, and I think Android too requires a feature where users can develop like report users. So if you have users and if you have some sort of social kind of situation where people can post things, you need moderation and you need something behind the scenes managing that moderation. Another example would be if you're a developer, there are these things that you need for both front end and back end, these tokens and like these just internal things. And a lot of my admin stuff is kind of based on that stuff. Then there's just a dashboard with a lot of like metrics, let's just say, and all of the stuff in one place for three projects in a row, again and again and again. And now imagine me with basically all the themes, all the code, and everything to set this up. Was the guy starting from zero, or like starting from like 1,000 different things, just bifurcated for like 1,000 different clients on 1,000 different teams versus me. You know what I mean? Like I can just go at lightning speeds if from the prototyping stage to the MVP stage to the like iteration stage, the journey to a product market fit. That's why I'm starting this. Like that's just one example. I can give you a lot of other examples where I've just developed this very high XP point on this specific area of working with pre-product market fit tech startups and like tech founders. And I believe it's an area where I can provide a lot of value. Another reason I believe this is an area where I can provide a lot of value is because if you've ever been in this world, if you've ever been in this like tech/startup world, one of the most common advices you will get is to not work with agencies and for the development. And the reason they give you that advice is if you are a startup working on moonshot ideas, or working on, like let's say the next Facebook or whatever you want to call it. The issue with agencies is you pay them a certain amount of money, and then really you're losing all the kind of value you get out of having an early team, all the kind of serendipitous stuff that happens with having an early team. You lose all of that because it's really all the value comes with the iteration, all the value comes with the stacking up of experience, knowledge, and all of that. And you don't get basically any of that with agencies. So the issue is if you're someone with an idea to build something pretty cool, something beyond the scope of a blog or a pretty advanced e-com store, anything above that, you're gonna have to find like let's say three pretty good software developers. And the alternative to that, because that will cost you somewhere between, to find pretty good ones, even if you just found them at like before they've got like market exposure, like when they think they're quite undervalued, even if you find them at that stage, you're still looking at somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000, or let's say 200 to like £250,000 a year to hire these three people. And yeah, that's a lot of money. And That's why startups raise that kind of money, you know, because like that's the common way. That is almost the only way, unless you're just technical. That's the only way to grow these things. And if you don't have that kind of money lying around, and if you don't have developers around, if you do like if you're not a techie, if you don't have developers around, and if you don't have that kind of money, then basically the common thing most people do is this: they go to the black market. I like to call this the black market, the Upwork, the freelancer, and the Fiverr world. You know, that world is such a, it really is the technology version of a black market. It really is the lows of technology, and it basically is where you go to kind of get yourself fucked if you don't know what you're doing. I can just give you so many examples. The most recent thing, like example that happened, is something I mentioned on not yesterday's episode, the episode before yesterday's episode, where a previous client I used to work for, I did the back end work for him, and I basically finished everything that I had to do like months ago. Like everything was done, the contract was finished, I got paid, and everything was like over with that. But now he's sending me messages saying this other guy who was meant to work on the front end, he's just slacking, and he's doing some very uh, not slimy. Slimy is not the right word for this. Some very like silly shit where on his Upwork, on his time, it looks like he's done like fucking 300 or like I don't know, like 30, 40 hours a week, when in reality, like he's not even doing that much. He was able to build that kind of hours for other projects. So the reality was, this guy wasn't really a guy. It was really some sort of agency or some sort of group of people in somewhere in India, um, just pretending to be a guy, just selling pre-packaged nonsense. I suggested it to that guy at the time, just slightly suggested it to him. Because again, at that time, I kind of lived in this energy of, I'm just going to get this done and over with. So when the guy looked suspicious, when the stuff didn't look right, and when I really knew working with these kind of people wouldn't work, I kind of said, "Hey, man, this is not going to work. Like, why don't you just try something different?" He kind of brushed it off. He just kind of said, "If you have something specific to talk about, just I'm open to like hearing your suggestions, something among those lines." But basically, the guy fucked over him. Like, uh, there was a lot of work to be done, and most of it's not done, and it is months delayed. Another example would be like a friend of mine. He had an idea. I spent quite some time with him, kind of brainstorming this idea. It was basically like a goals tracking app, and it was a really cool idea of how we can use kind of gamification to kind of unleash a lot of potential in this world by gamifying habit creation and like goal creation, using the whole foundational human support structures like a tribe, a group of friends, like that kind of stuff, and adding in gamification to build something pretty cool. I really like the idea. We brainstormed it on a lot, and it came to like the stage where it was time to develop for it. I gave him a rate for it, and for him that was actually quite expensive. And this guy has background in Amazon, like FBA stuff, makes a good amount of money, and has like experience with using Upwork and stuff for that kind of area. So he was like, I'm gonna just find someone quite poor, like not poor, quite cheaply on Upwork. I was like, I wouldn't do this if I was you. But despite this, it kind of looks weird coming from me, the guy that gave him the very high quote, I guess in his perspective. Um, So he went to Upwork. He kind of found this guy in Pakistan, and it cost him $400 to build this whole app. To be fair, it was an MVP, but still, $400 was ridiculous. Kind of laughed at this. Kind of said, he asked me to kind of look, check up on the guy a little bit, just on the profile and stuff. And I said, hey, the guy looks all right. Like he finished a quite product, few projects. He's got like good reviews. But I just said the price is extremely low. The price is stupid. You just don't get high quality stuff like that. Again, I didn't kind of double down on it. Uh, Again, this past version of myself wasn't a very high conviction version when it comes to these things. I just kind of corner around things. I don't know how to describe it. Never high conviction, and I really didn't. Looking back at it, I really don't like that. That shouldn't have been the case. But nonetheless, it turned out really bad. We were both kind of literally laughing uh, at the end result. It was just ugly. It was just basically high school ICT or like high school computer science students could come up with better work, and that kind of sums it up. Then there is this anecdotal experience I have with this lady who I did some kind of interviewing slash. I went up to like basically the interview stage to kind of work with her. If that worked, that would have been the highest, by far the most expensive project I would have worked with. But I kind of realized she was doing some shady shit. She was just trying to extract as much as information from me as humanly possible. But she had a really, really bad experience with an agency. I think the agency was based on like Philippines or something. I don't exactly remember, but her project, I did sign a like an NDA for this, but to not to kind of the best way to kind of talk about it would be basically say she was trying to build the kind of stuff that would take a team of let's say 15 people. That it was really, really sophisticated stuff. I kind of in this interview kind of stage, like in my proposal, let's just say, really convinced her to kind of cut it down a lot. But regardless, she kind of paid 5,000, so like something like $7,000, let's just say £5,000 basically, to this group to get this entire project done in about I think it was like it took them like 2 months or 3 months, something like that. I looked at the code and I was just laughing. This is why I had to kind of sign an NDA. I had to look through the project, see how much of it can be like salvaged, and I was just laughing at the whole thing. It was silly. The idea that basically the contrast between the idea this girl had, this woman, I should say, she was quite old. This woman had the idea she had, and the uh, the kind of results that they had. It was just funny. So those are the examples. I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, but by these examples, what I'm trying to say is you either have the Silicon Valley road where you get a really good idea and you just find a co-founder and you just get funded, but that's just for the very far and few in between, I guess. And for those kind of people, the whole business model is that like for Y Combinator, they're not really looking for. They're basically looking for outliers. They're not looking for normal businesses. They're looking for the next Facebook, the next Uber. They're looking for the kind of businesses that can do 50, 60x. Basically, if succeeds, it would be really, 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 really big. Like, as in the difference between like maybe let's say 30, 40, like huge sum of like businesses would do just 100K or something like that, whereas like 100K a month I'm talking about, right? Whereas those accelerators, those VCs, they're looking for the kind of businesses that could make billions. And this leaves a huge, like the majority of people with ideas, of entrepreneurs, of creators, basically a lot of people with a lot of potential out there, but they don't want to aim for that kind of stuff. They still have pretty cool ideas, but they can't really do anything about it because they don't have the funding, and the alternative is this ugly black market underworld. So, anyways, guys, that's why I'm doing this. I want to be the option for all these people, and I guess that's it. It's raining here right now, and when it's raining, I'm pretty sure pretty much everything I say will be quite hard to hear. So, Edwin out.